The Shelby GT350 is no longer going to exist. But don't worry, because we have the Shelby GT500, the most powerful street legal Ford ever built. Today I'm going to give you a quick look at everything that you get with this Shelby GT500, and really there's probably just only one hang up that we'll go over with it coming right up. Now under the hood, Ford definitely does not disappoint. First of all, you've got this 5.2 liter cross-plane crank V8 with a 2.65 liter supercharger. That big old supercharger has more liters than many of the small 4-cylinder cars today. This engine's gonna put out 760 horsepower at 7,300 RPM and 625 pound-feet of torque at 5,000 RPM. Now here is the hang-up that I was talking about. This GT500, unlike the GT350, cannot get a manual transmission. Ford gives you the Tremec branded 7-speed dual clutch transmission, which is actually very quick and fast, and you're not gonna get the parasitic loss with like you do with other transmissions. So this 7-speed dual clutch is definitely not disappointing at all. If you would love to get a manual transmission, you're gonna have to go with a GT350. Top speed is 180 miles per hour, which is limited. 0 to 100 back to 0 in 10.6 seconds and 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds. Of course, an engine working this hard and doing this much is going to need some extra cooling, and you get that with the transmission cooler, the oil cooler, and the differential cooler. If you're curious, miles per gallon is 12 city, 18 highway, and 14 combined. And one thing that you have to do when you buy a GT500 is pay the gas guzzler tax, which is $2,600. All right, y'all, let's take a look at the exterior details. So first of all, we have this nice aggressive stance that matches the specs. It stands out compared to the other Mustangs, and we even have the handling package that gives us some extra features, which I'll show you. So right away at the hood, you've got the stripes going over the top, optional. You've got that hood vent, even hood pins. And these Shelby Mustangs give you HID headlights instead of LED, but you got LED signature lighting, got the blinkers down there, no fog lights here because we have the splitter at the bottom, the aggressive front fascia, and the handling package actually gives us those splitter wickers on the side. So this is a really aggressive look. This color is called the Rapid Red Tint Coat. It looks good on this Mustang, especially with the black accents and the white striping. You even have the vinyl striping on the sides to match the top. And this Shelby Mustang gives us 20-inch wheels with 305 front and 315 in the rear. So you've got some wide tires to help with your traction. Of course, you can see those red Brembo brake. 6-piston calipers up front, 4-piston in the rear, and those are the largest front brakes on any domestic sports coupe at 16.5 inches. Dimensionally, this Shelby Mustang is 189 inches long, so it is definitely not as big as the Challenger, for example, but it also has the MagneRide damping system to basically give you the best performance of handling. It's going to adjust to the road surface, paired with this Torsen limited slip rear end differential. Now moving to the back of the Mustang, it's going to give you a spoiler standard, but we have the gurney flap with our handling package. What do y'all think of that? Also an aggressive rear end, just like that front end. You can even get a carbon fiber track wing optional, but we also have the quad tipped exhaust. You got a little bit of listen to that earlier, sounds fantastic. And then the diffuser down there as well. And of course, you've got the classic Mustang sequential turn signals. Okay, let's take a quick look into the cargo space while we're back here. Obviously not gonna spend a lot of time. Open that up. There's a little button back there. You can open it with your key fob or inside the vehicle, but it's surprisingly spacious, 13.5 cubic feet, which certainly is not terrible. It's definitely usable. And you can even fold the rear seats down if you want to. Both of them split fold, so definitely functional enough for a sports coupe like this. And to top it off, underneath of the floor, there is a tire inflator kit. It's always nice to have. The base version of the GT500 is going to give you 6-way power adjustable seats with lumbar support that are leather with suede, and they're even going to be heated and cooled. But Ford did not give us the base GT500. We have these optional Recaro performance seats, and these are 4-way manual, no heating, no ventilation, and no memory, but they are hugely bolstered on the sides and your thighs, and they just look fantastic in here. Personally, I would probably go for the creature comforts of the standard seats instead of these Recaro seats. One reason for the lumbar support, also for the heating and the ventilation. But if you are really gonna drive this, like if you're gonna take it to a track and actually drive it the way it should be driven, these Recaro seats are for you. But just be aware, at my size, it's a little bit tight around my thighs. If I sit with my thighs inside the bolsters, it's pretty tight. The steering wheel is manual tilt and telescoping, and it's got a good enough range of motion. Now taking a look at the interior, Ford gives you this intelligent key standard with push button start and remote start. You got push button start right here. Listen to that. I'm gonna make this quick on the interior, but this whole upper portion of the door is a soft touch material if you like to have your arm hanging out. Nice, large, soft armrest, kind of a small little storage area, and doesn't really work for bottles. Ford gives you a partially leather, partially Alcantara wheel with the flat bottom, so you have some leather down here, Cobra in the middle, got these nice large paddle shifters that we'll go through in the test drive, and then there's Alcantara here, your center stripe. I like the way Alcantara feels, but it's honestly kind of slippery at times. So if you're actually driving this on the track, I would rather have leather. Down here you can customize your suspension and your steering for like sport or normal, depending on how stiff you want them. And you can quickly navigate through stuff on your center screen, like your own My Mode settings or just the regular cruise control stuff. And then the gauges up here are kind of cool. So you can change the colors in them, and I just changed them to a couple random colors to show you. There's like a purple, and then there's like a sea green inlay when you're going certain speeds, and you can totally customize it how you want with this digital display. Right in the middle, you can have a regular trip computer that you can scroll through stuff and just kind of your basic information. Otherwise, you can actually go to some different screens using your steering wheel. You can have your own customizable My Mode to determine how you want the vehicle to shift and feel just overall. Track apps, this is pretty cool. So line lock, you can roast your tires, get them heated up. The car will do that automatically. All you gotta do is put the pedal down. Launch control, acceleration timers for different distances. So it's pretty cool that you have all these options if you're actually gonna use them. A performance shift indicator, so you can have it light up on the screen for you when you need to shift. You can have different gauges, and you can customize that as well. Exhaust mode, so you can have it on these different exhaust modes, and I'll show you the toggle, but this car is loud, and at home I have it on the quiet start, and you can even customize the time so the exhaust isn't quite as loud at certain times of the day. Now the interior is probably the most disappointing part, but it's the least important part of the car in my opinion for this type of a car. You do have some nice material for the dash up here, kind of your unique trim in this Shelby GT500. You got those gauges there, and then you've got Ford's typical 8-inch Sync 3 system. This does have Wi-Fi, Sirius XM, navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and we even have the optional B&O sound system, which sounds great. The B&O sound system is with the tech package, which also gives you heated mirrors and blind spot indicators in there, and that Cobra puddle lamp on the side of the car. You even get dual zone climate control, which is nice to see even though it's a smaller car. Then your toggle switches down here, so you can turn off your traction control, stability control. This is how you toggle your exhaust and your drive modes, but I'm not a big fan of how they take a while to toggle through. So, and you don't exactly know which one you're in, or exactly, it's just not ideal to me. I wish there was actual buttons or something like that. But as you can see, now we're in track mode. You get a completely different cluster view, which is pretty sweet. You get a nice rubber mat down there, a couple of different charging ports, USB and 12 volt. It's really weird to have the turn dial shifter in a Mustang, but you get used to it. M mode to manually shift, dedicated manual mode, electronic parking brake. My bottle fits in these perfectly, no problems with that. It's just a cheap feeling center console area, just kind of this whole interior as a whole. The armrest is nice and soft, typical Mustang armrest with a couple more charging ports in there. You get a lock and glove box, a little GT500 chassis badge up there as well. Up above you get garage controls and an automatic dimming rearview mirror. That sounds nice. All right, y'all, I just put it in sport mode. The gauge has changed, got a little bit more exhaust, and let's go for a drive. Now just know ahead of time, I'm just driving on regular roads, and there's no track, no performance stuff in this video. I'm gonna try to get on it sometimes, but let's go ahead and go for a drive and just see how fun this is to drive. It's just so exhilarating. Even at low speed, you got so much sound, so much power. You feel the vibration. It's just fantastic. And that dual clutch does not feel as dual clutchy as some cars. I mean, you kind of get that automated manual sense about it, but it's just really smooth. Works great. I haven't had any complaints with it. Now, like I said, right off the bat, we are in sport mode. We'll toggle through the drive modes, use those paddle shifters. Listen to that. Aggressive downshift. It always aggressively downshifts to second gear. Especially it measures how you use the brake. So I got on the brakes a little bit, automatically downshifted. What do y'all think of that sound? It sounds fantastic. And this is, so this, when you toggle the sport mode, the sport exhaust turns on. I'll toggle through the exhaust modes as well and go into quiet mode so you can get a sense for that. But driven this on a track, like I've said, nor do I really have track experience, so I can't really comment on that, but I know that this car is exhilarating, it's fun, it feels like a whole nother level compared to regular Mustangs. I did drive a Camaro ZL1 and a Scat Pack, wide body, not quite the same class, but and I know one thing's for sure, even with this Torsen limited slip, if you get on it, you will lose your rear end. You don't even have to floor it. I mean, it's gonna, you know, throttle down a little bit to let you get your traction. But this car you have to be careful with. With the regular Mustang, a GT, you can just kind of go to town on it. You're gonna lose some traction, but you don't have that much power to where you're just gonna kill yourself, even without flooring it. So be careful if you are new to a car like this. Listen to that downshift on its own. Now we're sitting here. See if you can just kind of hear the car. I'm going to toggle through. I'm going to go to quiet mode. Okay, now we're in quiet mode. And it is quiet. It's definitely still, it still has a decent noise to it, but I use quiet mode for my startups when I'm at home for my neighbor's sake. But there's still a little bit of sound with it. I'm going to put it in normal mode. You could hear the audio or the exhaust kick in a little bit. Normal mode is still fun. It's a little bit more, you know, dulled down. The steering is comfortable, not too aggressive, not too light. The throttle is still good, but you get on it a little, and it'll still go. And it'll still aggressively downshift to an extent. So normal mode is just kind of the nice blend of a daily drive where you can still have some fun. Sport and track and drag strip on another level, especially track. Now we're in track. Gauges change again. So aggressive. We are in track mode. See, we lost a little bit of grip right there. A little nervous going over this hill for, you know, red and blue, but this is a monster. This car is an absolute animal. goes up. The steering is heavier, so I'm a little disappointed with the steering. It still doesn't have quite the same connected, weighty feel that I thought it would, but it adds some heft to it. It still plants the car down nicely, and you get a really nice experience with it. And like I've said, this transmission has just been spot on. Fast, fun, engaging. Now I'm going to put it in manual mode. Push the M down here, and then it'll show you right there. It'll show you your little paddle so you know when you are in manual mode. They've been really impressive. Downshifts and upshifts. I'm going to put it back in sport mode. Sport mode is fun. It's a fun combination without being too stiff, but still aggressive. Because when you get it in the track suspension mode, this Magna-Ride suspension obviously is meant for that, but it can be pretty stiff on a daily driving basis. I would say on a daily driving basis, this is so fun. I honestly can't say that personally I would take this over a GT350 or maybe even a GT. I mean, if you really lust for power, then go for it. If you're going to take it on a track, go for it. If you want as much power and noise as possible in a Mustang, go for it. But I think the GT350 are plenty powerful and fun and still have excellent sound and still all features that you really want on a daily basis, but the GT500 is just on another level. Wish I could take this on a track for y'all and really push it, but hope y'all have enjoyed this review. Another thing quickly is the brakes do a fantastic job. At the time that this was produced, it had the largest front rotors on a domestic sports coupe, so they definitely do a nice job. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. Now, as you can see, this Shelby GT500 is not just a straight line car, it's a performance car all around. This is some modern muscle right here. Now, would you prefer something like this or more of a mid-engine Corvette style? Because this isn't quite on the same level as that mid-engine Corvette. Now, obviously, it's a bummer to see the GT350 be discontinued, especially because you can get a manual transmission with that, and this only has an automatic transmission. So is this GT500 for you? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.